Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is this one. It's called Shrink Soul's Murder by author Philippa Perry. Was released as a hardback here in the United Kingdom by Hutchinson Heinemann on the 7th of May 2026. And I think we can probably tell what the story is going to involve when it says on the front, the book's called Shrink Soul's Murder, and it says at the bottom of the book on the front cover, at 3 o'clock became a murder case. So it's another entry, it's a new entry, should I say, to the cosy crime genre for author Philippa Perry. Best known as artist, psychotherapist, TV, radio presenter, and the author of a very popular book called The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read. So well-known person in the media, already a published author of non-fiction books. This is Philippa's first attempt at fiction. It's cozy crime, but it's very good cozy crime, I have to say. I saw the cover of my local Waterstones and thought, I don't know, that looks worth a read. Some of the books I've been reviewing lately on the channel are a bit heavy. This certainly isn't. This is cozy crime at its best, but as I said, well worth a read. Less the Waffle Cliff. What's it all about? Well, it'll probably come as no surprise to know that the central character in this book is a lady called Pat. Dr. Patricia Phillips, to be more precise, who's a psychotherapist. She lives in a place called Westlinke and lives in an old cottage called Ivy Cottage with her cat Dave. She's got an old shepherd's hut in her garden, which she uses as her office. And since COVID and Zoom calls, a lot of her clients she talks to via Zoom rather than face-to-face meetings. So. It helpfully shows us at the front of the book, we've got a little diagram of where everything is, he says, if you can find it. So that's the lie of the land for people not familiar with the geography of the UK. This is on the south coast. It's near a place called Beachy Head and the Seven Sisters Cliffs when you approach the UK. So the story kicks off with Pat getting a visit from the local police force, the local police in the form of, he says, checking his notes, DS Amanda Stevens and PC Barry Footer. And they tell her that the guy that she was due to have as her 3 o'clock appointment has been found dead. His body's been found dead near Beachy Head. A 3 o'clock appointment, Henry Clayton, is no more. So they've called to say, it's near Beachy Head. Beachy Head is unfortunately a very popular place for people to commit suicide, and the two police officers are basically writing this off as yet another sad, but it's another suicide. Pat's not entirely sure about this because with all the calls with Henry, the problems he'd been talking to her were the problems in his relationship with his partner Derek, and Derek was a very manipulative, coercive sort of guy, and Henry was trying to break away from that, and was even going as far as setting up a legal, keep away from me type order. What's the word? Can't remember. Anyway, by the by, Pat doesn't buy this suicide because all the conversations she's had with Henry. That none of those indicators showed that he was likely to commit suicide or even considering it. He loved his mother. He was very close to his mother. Very nice guy, very well adjusted. Problems in his relationships, and she goes into the reasons why he had problems with his relationships, but she just simply doesn't buy it. She calls her friend, Prichard Knowles. Now, Prichard used to have one of the biggest trucking companies in the south, and he's a larger-than-life character. But in the small village they live in, he knows everyone. He gets on well with everyone, and he's a brewer of all sorts of homemade spirits, be it gin, wine, whatever. And he's a very good friend of Pat. So the two of them decide that they're not happy with the police investigation. The police are just writing off as just another suicide. But they begin to investigate. They set up a murder board in Ivy Cottage, and they're looking at the various people in the village. And this is where I find the book very well written, because it's a small village and there are all sorts of characters. There's a couple, Mal and Fee are a couple of swingers, well-off swingers, and they own a big house which sort of backs onto Ivy Cottage. There's another lady who's a property developer. She's looking to build a golf course on the Downs, which most of the village aren't entirely happy with. We've got a lady who's a curtain twitcher, lives called Behaviour, lives near the Green, and various other people that frequent the local pub. There's lots of activities going on in the village. The village hall is used for all sorts, be it from Sunday school to an art class, which Pat goes along with. So the characters are in some ways a little bit larger than life, but they're not too comical. They're not too outrageous. And one of the things with the being written by a psychotherapist is that you see Pat not only investigating the crime, but understanding where they're coming from because of her professional abilities. And I think that's the bit that's done well. She knows why the young copper is a compulsive eater, why he's a comfort eater. She knows why his boss, the DS, is behaving as she does. She knows why some of the people in the village behave as they do. And between her and Prichard, her friend Prichard Knowles, they're trying to find out what's going on and sort the wheat from the chaff. And as usual with a murder mystery or whodunit, you get a few blind alleys. But I found this a really enjoyable book. When it finished, and it's 308 pages, so it's not a massive read. When I'd finished, you hear books sometimes they say, oh, it was unputdownable. And I wouldn't say it was unputdownable, but when the story finished, I thought, I enjoyed that. I wish this had gone on a bit more. So the last page of the book, we see the PC footer coming to see Pat and saying, there's something else you could possibly help us with. So it looks like there's going to be a second outing for Pat, and an enjoyable outing it was. And said, very cosy crime. If you like your fast action and lots of gore, this isn't for you. But if you're a fan of, say, the Richard Osman books, people like that, you'll really enjoy this. And the twist with the central character being a psychotherapist, you see a bit more of an insight into the characters in the book, which are very well written. So I really enjoyed it. It was a bit, I hadn't heard of the author before, to be perfectly honest, but a very enjoyable read. Cosy crime at its best, and look forward to the next one. So I think that's it for this week's brief book review. 10/10. Do we do it again?